One of the new features with OmniGraffle 3 for iOS is the addition of Artboards. Artboards on iOS allow you to organize your content by dividing up a single canvas, which is great for iterating on a design side by side, connecting them with lines to show flow through a process, or help navigate through your canvas. I've got this OmniGraffle image with this little house and this cloud. Now I want to group them on an artboard together. To do that, I'll tap on the Artboard tool and then draw this shape around the two objects. Alternatively, I could have selected the two objects and then applied the artboard through the contextual menu. And there's the option New Artboard under Selection. Now I've got an artboard. When I'm done, you can see that there's this new object in the sidebar, this artboard layer. Now it's important to note that any objects above this artboard layer get attached to it. So for instance, the cloud and the house are above the artboard here in the sidebar. So if I drag around the artboard, I get the house and the cloud as well. The artboard layer, however, will not apply to objects that are below it. For instance, I've got a separate layer with the sun in it that I've been hiding. I'm going to go ahead and tap on this icon to expose it. And you can see there's the sun. And I can now drag my artboard to cover the sun on a cloudy day. Now, I explained earlier that objects above the artboard will move with the artboard, but that's not always true. Now I'm going to go over to the artboard and I'm going to tap it once to select it with my finger, and then I'm going to tap it a second time. This brings up the contextual menu, but it also puts the artboard into a different selection mode, so that you can now drag an artboard around without affecting the objects above it. This is great if you need to resize an artboard or adjust its position relative to the other layers of the canvas. One of the advantages of using artboards is you can make duplicates of them. I'm going to go ahead and hide the sun, and then I'm going to make a duplicate of the artboard. There's a couple different ways to do this. The first is to simply duplicate the item from the contextual menu, and that's simply by tapping on the artboard and selecting Duplicate from the contextual menu. You should note, however, that when duplicating an artboard in this way, it renders the duplicate very close and often overlapping the existing artboard. And because an artboard will grab any objects above its layer, you may end up pulling objects from the original artboard into the duplicated one. So be aware of that if you're duplicating in this way. An alternative way to duplicate an artboard starts with selecting the artboard and all its objects, like the house and the cloud in this case. Then use OmniGraffle's duplication gesture. Just hold down one finger on the objects you've selected, and then two-finger tap in a different part of the canvas. Then everything you've selected, including the house, the cloud, and the artboard, will be duplicated in the place where you two-finger tap. There's no overlapping and there's no confusion. You can even two-finger tap in additional locations to make additional copies. Now that I have two artboards, I can go ahead and give them names in the sidebar by tapping on them and typing in the new name. Also, if I touch and hold on an artboard in the sidebar, it brings up the contextual menu and allows me to zoom to selection, to focus on the artboard I want to see. Duplicate artboards are really useful with design work. Once you finish your basic design, put it on an artboard and make multiple copies of it. Then you can try different iterations on the different copies of the artboard to see what works. I'm going to do that with these two copies of this artboard. Now let's say I want to add a window to this house, and a window with a flower in it. And I've got this one layer with an orange flower in a window. I'll go ahead and turn it on, and there it is. Now I'll drag it onto the artboard layer. And you can see I've added a nice little window to my house. As you can see in the sidebar, the orange flower layer is above the artboard layer. So as opposed to the sun, which is behind it, this now is above the layer, so it attaches to the artboard. It's like painting something onto the existing artboard. And as a result, if I move this artboard around, the window moves with it. Just like that. Now let's try a different color flower on the duplicate artboard. So I'll go ahead and expose this pink flower layer. And there's a new window with a pink flower in it. So I'll go ahead and drag that onto the duplicate artboard. And once again, because this layer is above the artboard, it will attach to the artboard. Now I can put these two artboards next to each other and compare. And there you have it, Artboards in OmniGraffle 3.